Today I'm going to talk politics. Well, not really, but I'm going to talk about whether or not you should get political in your work and in your social media, and whether or not authors should speak out on current issues at all. So, if you have an opinion, and I bet you do, stick around because we're about to get into it. Hey there. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, an independent press based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm also a freelance editor as well as the author of over 40 novels, including The Black Knight Chronicles, Bubba the Monster Hunter, and Quincy Harker Demon Hunter. And I'm also the founder of the Saga Genre Fiction Writing Conference, where you can join us in Charlotte in March by clicking the link down below, and you can get a lot more of the kind of content that I do here on the channel, only by other people, a lot of whom are smarter than me. So if you want to write better books and make more money, join us. Today, I'm going to talk about the idea that writers should never get political. I call it the fallacy of shut up and sing. And that's because when the Dixie Chicks back in the early 2000s made a big statement in the middle of a concert about being embarrassed that George W. Bush was the current president of the United States, they were banned from country music radio, and everybody was coming out of the woodwork telling them to shut up and sing. When Colin Kaepernick was kneeling in protest during the national anthem, he was told to shut up and play. And basically, any time anyone who makes their living by entertaining a group of people, an audience, kind of any time we speak out publicly about our opinions on things, we're told, shut up and sing, shut up and play, shut up and write, shut up and act. Because we have frequently a larger platform than most of the people you're sitting next to at the bar on karaoke night. Although, with the way TikTok is blowing up, that may no longer be the case. But you know what I mean. Michael Jordan even very famously refused to endorse black former Charlotte Mayor Harvey Gantt in his Senate run against noted racist piece of crap Jesse Helms by saying, Republicans buy sneakers too. The idea, the prevailing wisdom, as it were, about expressing an opinion on current events, or even past events, like me saying that Jesse Helms was a racist piece of crap. The idea is that no matter what side of any issue you come down on, you're going to piss off half your potential audience. This is, by and large, a pile of crap. No, really, it's BS. And I'm going to break down a few reasons why this is complete BS. First and foremost, we're human beings. We are people. Any of us who make our living by providing entertainment to people are affected by politics and by issues, and it colors our work because we live in the world. Things that are done in Washington, D.C. affect me in Charlotte, North Carolina. Things that are done in Raleigh affect me in Charlotte. Things that are done in Charlotte affect people in the outlying sections of the county. We're all affected by politics. I get to have health insurance because of Obamacare. So anytime someone is running for national office and their big platform is repealing Obamacare, I'm worried. Because I was turned down for health insurance because of underlying issues before the Affordable Care Act was passed. So was my wife. My wife was uninsurable prior to this being the law. So that piece of politics affects me, and it's going to affect my work because we're not robots. We're not dolls that you put away in a cabinet and drag out when you want to be entertained. We're not our books. We're the real living, breathing human beings that create these works, and we live in this world. And that's going to affect how we make our art, especially those of us who are making the words, songwriters, screenwriters, authors, comic book writers. I've changed the way I write and the direction of stories because of real world events. I changed the way I write about guns after Sandy Hook. It affected me. I knew no one who was directly affected by that tragedy, but I really do kind of believe in what John Donne said, that each man's death diminishes me. So the death of a bunch of elementary school kids really did make me take a step back at how I write and how I write about guns specifically. And I changed the way I make stories because of it. I changed the narrative arc and the career of multiple characters after the behavior of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department during the 2020 protests. They herded friends of mine into a dead-end street and opened fire on them with pepper balls from an elevated position when these people couldn't get away. So the next book I wrote had a similar situation occurring in the book, and it had one of my lead characters turn in her badge over it. Because the police in my city had done something terrible that I watched on a live stream as it happened to my friends, and I didn't want one of my main characters to be party to that anymore. I've gotten to know people who are very different than me as I've gone through the world. I grew up in very rural South Carolina in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I was not exposed to nearly as much as I have been since I moved to a city and traveled around the country and got to know a lot of people who aren't like everyone I grew up with. And that has led me to working to diversify my cast of characters to more effectively represent the people that are in the world. All of these are real world things that changed the way I write. And I have had readers write me and tell me that they weren't going to read my books anymore because I got too political. Here's a hint. Being a fan is not like running an airport. You do not have to announce your departure. I'm sorry those people left. I'm sorry they felt that way. I'm also sorry that they didn't realize very early on where I sit politically, because I didn't think it was terribly well hidden or hidden at all. At conventions, every time we set up the Falstaff Mothership, and we call it that because it's usually multiple tables stacked with books with several people behind working it, we run a big banner over the table, and one of our big tablecloths has a big pride flag that says books, books, books. And I've had a few people, very few, get offended by it. Almost none of them have ever said anything to me, but let's be real, I'm 6 feet tall, 300 pounds, and look like I can pretty well handle myself. People don't pick fights with me, which is a really good thing because I'd lose. It only once has someone come up and challenged our pride flag and our apparent beliefs, which is accurate. Those are our beliefs. We do stand for that. A guy walked up at an outdoor event where we were selling books and said, "What's with the pride flag?" And I said, "We publish a lot of books with LGBTQ plus content. We publish a lot of books written by LGBTQ plus authors. And I want to make it very clear to LGBTQ plus readers and to the authors that write those LGBTQ plus books that our publishing company is a safe space, that we are their allies, and that they are seen and supported." And generally, if you're not down with that, you're probably not going to like what we publish anyway. So it shortcuts a lot of people buying books they wouldn't like. He shrugged, wandered off. I guess I didn't give him the fight he was looking for, or what. But that's what we as a company believe. It's one of our core beliefs. And for every single person who has either come and actually said something, or just sniffed and turned away, or looked at the pride flag and wandered off, we've had a dozen people who've come up and said, "Thank you for flying that flag," especially here in the South, especially in some of the smaller communities where we've done events. When you look at the face of a young gay kid from rural South Carolina who has seen that banner over your table, and all of a sudden, for the first time, they feel seen, they feel welcome, and they feel supported in a geeky space, that's worth everybody that's ever gotten butthurt about me flying a pride flag over our table. And honestly, I don't care. I own the company. It's what I believe. It's not going to stop being what I believe. So may as well lay it out there. But that's not the only reason that it's crap to say don't get political. And yeah, I have a stack of notes on this, so I'm going to keep looking down. Sorry. I don't have a cool teleprompter like some of the real big YouTubers do. The fact is that, yeah, you might piss off half the population of the country with your opinion. That also means that half the population of the country agrees with you. And realistically, you're probably only going to piss off like 10% of the people who ever see it. And probably only 10 to 15% are going to staunchly agree with you. And the 80% in the middle are going to be meh. It's not going to affect them one way or the other. But those people who feel the same way you do, they buy books. And they are just as likely to buy books as the people who you've offended. And this is true no matter whether you lean to the left or to the right. Because there's just as many far-right authors expressing their opinions through their work as there are left-wing nut jobs like me. And those people are finding their audience, just like I'm finding mine. Because there are 300 plus million people in the United States and 8 billion or so on the planet. And you need very few of them to make a living as a writer. The truth of it is that by speaking your truth, by speaking your beliefs openly, you will gain more readers among the like-minded chunk of the population than you will drive away from the opposite side of the aisle. Michael Jordan was in a very different position than we are as writers. There are weeks that it takes fewer than 10,000 books sold to make the New York Times bestseller list. We operate on such a small scale. Well, let's look at that scale. Let's do some numbers. I know. Math. I'm sorry. About 10,000 people see this channel in a given month at our current traffic rate. If 10% of those people became members, by the way, if you would like to become a member and see your name listed along all of these awesome people in every video and get our videos early, you can click the link down below. Shameless plug over. But if 10% of those people became members, we'd be bringing in $5,000 a month. That's a living wage in a lot of places off of 1,000 subscribers. And that's what marketing people call your true fans. Kevin Kelly did an essay about you get 1,000 true fans and you can make a living. And this is the finest example I've ever been able to really codify for it. If you have a $5 Patreon and you get 1,000 people a month, you've got a living wage. Not if you live in Manhattan. But in a lot of the country, you've got a living wage at $60,000 a year. The true fans are the people who buy your limited editions, like all of these that I buy. Your true fans are the people who subscribe to your Patreon, who are members on your YouTube channel, who subscribe to you on Twitch or buy stuff from your TikTok shop or however you're putting stuff out there. And you're not going to find those true fans as easily if you're trying to dance this tightrope down the middle of the political road. Because they can't become your true fans if they don't know about you. And trying to be as unassuming, as unoffensive, as milquetoast as possible is not how you get noticed. It's not how you get links to your work shared. People didn't make Matt Dinniman into a #1 Washington Post bestseller as of this recording because he's the middle of the road. Matt is as far from the middle of the road as you can get and still be anywhere on the 4-lane highway. This stuff's way out there. And because he's committed to it, people buy into what he's writing. And then when they meet him, they buy into who he is as a human. And they share his stuff. Now, I'm not going to say that you need to wear a shirt to your next convention that says, "Screw Trump," or "Let's go Brandon," or "I am Charlie Kirk," or whatever. That might be a little much. And I'm definitely not saying you need to manufacture an opinion and a position on every single thing that happens in the news. I'm not even saying you have to pick a side if you genuinely don't have an opinion. There are things happening in the world that I am not educated enough about to have an opinion. So I don't really have one. I generally try to ask people that I know and trust, but there's plenty of stuff in the world that I can have an opinion on, and trust me, I have an opinion on a lot of them. But what I'm saying is that this idea that hiding from any political subtext in your books is the only way to build a career is BS. It's garbage. I'm saying that if you feel like something is important to you, say it on your social media. Put it into a book if it's how you really believe. It might cost you a contract. Because I'll be honest with you, at Falstaff, if you are spewing homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic, racist garbage on your social media. And yes, publishers do look at your social media before we offer contracts. If you got that stuff on your social media or in your books, we're not going to give you a contract. But you know what? If you believe that, why did you submit to the press with the giant gay pride flag over our booth? So you don't want to work with us any more than we are going to work with you. So, yeah, being open about your politics and your beliefs might cost you contracts. It might cost you readers, and it might cost you money. But they're probably contracts you didn't want. It's probably not that much money. And it's probably readers you don't want either. Because I'm not the only writer who's always been very open about my beliefs and my opinions. And I'm certainly not the only one who's very vocal about my beliefs and opinions that has found that the financial benefits of being sincere and honest outweigh the readers I've lost. I've definitely made more money off people who believe in the same values I believe in, sharing my YouTube channel, sharing my book promos, saying, hey, he's a good guy, you should check out his stuff. I am a good guy, you should check out my stuff. There's a link down below. Shameless plug over. And also, the benefits to your psyche and your sleep patterns will be better. Because I don't want racists as my fans. I don't want homophobes as my fans. I don't want anti-Semites as my fans. I want a community of fans who believe that love is love, that the earth is round, that vaccines work, and that people deserve respect and safety and hope. And people that don't believe any of those things, they can give their money to somebody else. They're not that hard to find. And you, as a writer, working on building your career, trust in your ability to find an audience of readers that share the values you put forth in your work. Also trust in your readers to understand that you can write characters that don't espouse those views because they're the bad guys. In one of the books that we published, The Devil Makes Three, there are some horrifically racist characters. I'm good friends with the author, Lucy Blue. She is very much not a racist, but she knows some because she also grew up in rural South Carolina, about 15 miles from where I grew up. And boy, she makes it very clear that those are the villains and they get their comeuppance in a big fat way. Also, I highly recommend the book. It's really great. So you, as a writer, can write villains that are awful. And you can write heroes that believe the things you believe. And you can alter the way your heroes believe as your beliefs grow and change. Don't be afraid to believe something. Don't be afraid to say what you believe. It's worth the risk. And I bet what you'll find when you're done is that you weren't really risking anything at all. Because it's a lot easier to find 1,000 people who love your work when you let people know a little bit of what you're about. So there you go. That's me telling you that you don't have to shut up and write. You don't have to shut up and sing. I'm not gonna. My characters are still going to continue to push for positive social change because that's what I want in the world. And if you sit on the opposite side of every single issue from me, you can still write all of that into your books and find an audience. I know plenty of writers who are my political opposite on almost every issue, and they have perfectly salvageable, perfectly good careers, some of them far better, more lucrative than mine. But what I don't know any writer who has spoken out about social issues or pushed for societal change that's killed their career over it. Not a one. I mean, I know some writers who have said some things that I think are absolutely disgusting. And they've said them publicly and they've said them in writing, and they're still selling books. And I know plenty of writers who have tried to walk that middle line of, I don't have an opinion, I am merely a storyteller. And their stories are boring because they don't say anything. So why don't you get out there and write something that you believe in? Because I will. All right, y'all. Till next time, bye.